So look at Anthony Ryder from South Lyon, Michigan, recently selected as the Lions 2020 Fan of the Year. He has a passion about sports broadcasting.
With the 112th selection in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver, USC. One pride, baby! Yeah! What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Detroit Lions video. The Detroit Lions kick off the NFL season tomorrow night in Arrowhead versus Kansas City. And although a lot of people have the Chiefs winning this football game, although the Chiefs are rightfully the favorites to win this game, I do think the Lions have a very good shot at upsetting the reigning Super Bowl champions, as well as taking week one in Arrowhead. I think the Detroit Lions are a talented enough team to not only win this game, but win it in convincing fashion, especially with Christian Jones not playing and the possibility that Travis Kelce is out as well. The Kansas City Chiefs are already facing a little bit of injury concerns, and I do think that opens the door for the Detroit Lions to win this game in a very convincing fashion. Today, I want to take a look at the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Detroit Lions. I want to take a look at, despite the Lions being the underdogs, how do the Detroit Lions go into Arrowhead and upset the reigning Super Bowl champions? How do they go into Arrowhead week one and upset the best team in football? And that today is what I wanted to talk about. Starting off with the defensive side of the ball. The Detroit Lions need to get pass rush, especially on the edge. They're not going to get a whole lot on the interior. Creed Humphrey did not allow a sack all of last season at the center position, and Joe Thuney only allowed one throughout 17 games. The interior of that Chiefs offensive line is really, really good, so I don't think that they're going to be able to generate a whole lot of pass rush. All I'm looking for out of the interior is for them to hold their ground, right? For Aleem McNeil, for Levi Onwuzurike, for Broderick Martin if he plays, to hold their ground, not allow a lot of passing attack, and not allow Patrick Mahomes to step up into the pocket and make big plays on the ground. That is their only job. The pass rush and the way we're going to get to Patrick Mahomes is going to have to be through the edges, right? The Kansas City Chiefs have two new starting tackles this year, that being Donovan Smith, formerly of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who last year allowed 12 penalties and 6 sacks, while also adding Jawan Taylor, who last year with the Jaguars had 7 penalties and 5 sacks. James Houston led the NFL in pass rush win percentage last season, while Aiden Hutchinson led all rookies with 9.5 sacks. Top of that, Charles Harris should be returning to his form from 2021, with, of course, Romeo Okwara generating some pressure, with John Kaminsky generating some pressure, with, of course, maybe Josh Pascal getting some reps in and generating some pressure. The Lions have a very deep edge rush rotation and a very, very strong edge rush rotation at that. So they should be able to go after these tackles all day long. They should be able to get around the tackles, and they should be able to get to Patrick Mahomes at least 2 to 3 times in this game. And, of course, the more you get to Patrick Mahomes, the more you put them behind the chains, the better chance you have of getting Patrick Mahomes off the field. And, of course, winning the football game if Patrick Mahomes can't score. Obviously, that makes your odds significantly better. Now, another thing the Lions need to do defensively is earn at least 1, if not 2 takeaways. The Kansas City Chiefs are a super high-scoring offense. They were the number 1 offense as far as yardage. They were the number 1 offense as far as points last season, but they were very low ranking, about 25th in the league as far as turnovers. Patrick Mahomes himself last season had 17 turnover-worthy plays with 12 interceptions and 5 fumbles, while the Kansas City Chiefs as a team had 23 turnovers a season ago. The Kansas City Chiefs turn the ball over almost once a game, and although they are big plays, although they are very, dynamic play calls, although they have a lot of tricky formations that they like to run, they do turn the ball over more than the average NFL team, and that's going to open the door to allow the Detroit Lions to take advantage and either extend a lead or get back into the game. When that turnover comes, the Lions have to take advantage of it, and they have to be ready. The secondary has to be ready for a big turnover. The pass rush has to be ready to strip the ball out of Mahomes' hands, because Kansas City last year did turn the ball over at least once per game, and that is going to allow the Detroit Lions to, of course, to steal a drive away and hopefully either put the game away, take a bigger lead, or tie the game up in a crucial situation. That takeaway is going to be a key moment in the game, and the Lions need to take advantage of it when it comes around. Now, taking a look at the offense, the Lions' rushing attack needs to have a big game. The Lions last year were a fairly good rushing attack, ranking just above average in the NFL, but Kansas City ranked 18th versus the run in 2022. They allowed 4.4 yards per attempt for every single. They averaged allowing 4.4 yards per carry last season, and that was with Chris Jones playing in 15-plus games for them. Chris Jones is now out. Your defensive line for Kansas City is George Karlaftis, Derek Ndee, Mike Dana, and Trayshawn Wharton. That is not a top-tier defensive line. That is a defensive line the Detroit Lions should be able to run against and even get into the second level, with guys like Penei Sewell getting to the second level, Jonah Jackson, Frank Ragnow getting into that second level on the linebackers, and I fully expect the Detroit Lions to be able to run the ball. I fully expect the Detroit Lions rushing attack to be one of the best performances of the year because the Kansas City defensive line is a little bit weaker. They weren't very good versus the run last year, even with the best defensive tackle in football, and now they don't have that guy, right? I expect David Montgomery get 15 to 20 carries. I think Jahmyr Gibbs should get 7 to 10 carries. I think Craig Reynolds should get 5 to 7 carries, and maybe you even call up Zonovan Knight to get 5+ carries. This is a game the Lions need to rush the football. They should have 30 to 40 rushing attempts in this game. They should far lean to the rushing side of their offense opposed to the passing attack. And although I don't think the Lions are going to not be able to pass versus Kansas City, I think the rushing attack is going to be the way to victory, right? Keep Patrick Mahomes off the field, win time of possession, and of course, just continually wear down that defense so that when Jahmyr Gibbs gets his touches, when Amon-Ra St. Brown gets his touches, when Khalif Raymond gets his touches, and of course Sam Laporta gets his touches, those big playmakers can have bigger plays because the defense is gassed, because the defense is focused on the run, and that is where the play action game comes in, right? The Lions need to build off that running game and go into a heavy play action mindset. The Lions last year, and Jared Goff specifically, was the number 1 play-action quarterback a season ago. Number 1 in yards, number 4 in attempts, and number 1 in passing touchdowns off of play action. And he has the weapons to do it. The offensive line is really, really good, and the rushing attack is going to be good enough to sell the play action. David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs are players that should be threats in the rushing attack. And then off of play action, you have Khalif Raymond, who was far and away the best separator in the league last year per route run. You have Amon-Ra St. Brown, a great separator. You have Marvin Jones, the reliable wide receiver that's going to be kind of your security blanket. You have Sam Laporta, the big play tight end. You have Jahmyr Gibbs, the explosive running back / wide receiver. And of course, you have James Mitchell, a 5th-round pick from last year, who in the preseason showed his ability, especially off play action, to get big gains. Go back to the Giants game and you'll see he had 2 or 3 receptions off of play action that he took for 20, 30 yards. And that's exactly what we need our tight ends to do in this scheme and in this system is go off of play action, catch it 1 or 2 yards past the line of scrimmage, and have that yak ability to go and make plays. The Lions have a lot of yak receivers. They have a lot of yak weapons. So if they can build off the play action, give Jared Goff some quick, easy throws off of play action where he's most comfortable, that is going to keep the Lions offense moving. That is what's going to put up points. And that is how the Detroit Lions are going to outscore the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, the Kansas City Chiefs do not lose very often. Last year, they went 14-3 in the regular season and, of course, 3-0 in the playoffs for the divisional round, the conference championship, as well as the Super Bowl. However, when they did lose, it was because teams followed this format. The Chiefs lost 3 times last season, that being to the Colts, 17-20. They lost to the Bills, 20-24, and they lost to the Bengals, 24-27. In all 3 of those games, the opponent won the turnover battle. Colts had 2 turnovers, Bills had 2 turnovers, Bengals had 1, and they won time of possession. The Colts won time of possession, the Bengals won time of possession, and the Bills won time of possession. That is how you beat the Kansas City Chiefs. You don't beat them in a shootout. You don't beat them by going 45-41. You don't beat them going 35-38, right? You don't beat them by trying to outscore them and winning in a boat race, because Patrick Mahomes will win that boat race 9 times out of 10. right? You beat Kansas City by playing against their strengths. You beat Kansas City by keeping Patrick Mahomes off the field. You beat Kansas City by forcing them to take checkdowns, by forcing them into mistakes and forcing them into turnovers and not allowing the big plays over the top, not allowing the methodical and efficient plays that Patrick Mahomes is known for, not allowing those things. Play a bend, don't break defense. Wait for that one turnover opportunity to arise. Take advantage of it and don't give the football back. Right? If the Lions get the ball to open the game, their first drive should take 8 to 9 minutes. They should drive a 15, 16 play drive, run the football 10, 12 times, build off some play action. That should be the goal. Keep Patrick Mahomes off the field. Keep the crowd out of it as much as possible, right? Have slow, methodical drives. Try your very best to run the football on Kansas City because, again, without Chris Jones, their defensive line doesn't look especially menacing. And that is how you are going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Is it going to be an easy task? Absolutely not. Is it much easier in theory than it's going to be in reality? 100%. The Kansas City Chiefs have a ton of playmakers, especially if Travis Kelce is healthy. It is going to be very hard to force turnovers. It is going to be very hard to stop this Kansas City offense, but it is possible. The Colts did it. The Bills did it. The Bengals did it. And I do think, like we talked about yesterday, the Lions do have good matchups on defense if you exclude Patrick Mahomes, of course. Right? I think our DBs match up very well versus the wide receivers. I think that our linebackers match up very well versus the Kansas City rushing attack. And I do think that if Travis Kelce especially does not play, the Lions should win this football game. The Chiefs don't have a ton of weapons. It's going to be on Patrick Mahomes to make plays. And I think he's going to make some plays, right? You're not going to ever shut down Patrick Mahomes, but it's about limiting the damage while your defense is on the field and keeping Patrick Mahomes away from the football as much as possible while still being efficient, still driving, and still taking advantage of your opportunities. The Lions can get into a boat race with the Chiefs, and they can win a boat race with the Chiefs. Obviously, a top 5 attacking offense last season that got better, but that's not how you reliably beat Kansas City. I would expect a heavy run approach, a heavy play action approach, and try to keep the ball away from Patrick Mahomes as much as possible. That's how the Lions win this football game. That's how they start 1-0. That is how they upset the reigning Super Bowl champions. So, with all that being said, that is all I have for you guys today. That is probably the last video we are going to have before the Lions take on Kansas City. We might have one tomorrow, but that is still to be determined. So if you enjoyed the content and if you enjoyed the Detroit Lions videos, please go down below. Please subscribe to the channel. Please like the videos. It helps the channel out a ton. And of course, if you're still here, that, of course, means you like Detroit Lions content and you're 11 minutes and 50 seconds into a Detroit Lions versus Kansas City Chiefs video. You clearly enjoy the content, so go down below, subscribe to the channel, like the videos. It helps the algorithm, helps push the video out, helps bring in new Lions fans, and it helps me out a ton. But with all that being said, that is all I have for you guys today. Let me know down in the comments below how you feel about this matchup, what you think the Lions need to do to win this matchup, and what you think the score is going to be for the Kansas City Week 1 opener. With that being said, that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you all so very much for watching. And until next time, as always, go Lions!